Hi everyone, in today's tactics video I'm going to go through the first bunch of the recently announced Legend Astra Militarum unit datasheets. There's a 1 week community website article which I'll put in the description below, which has more detail, but fundamentally you can now use all of your older units which may have been pushed into the past, and the article does explain that whilst this can be used in the casual setting, they can't be used in the tournament scene. Overall I think this is really good. It's definitely, if you've got some older kits like I do, you can still use it definitely in the casual game setting. Now the first thing to call out is a list they've put here. Now this is quite interesting. What they're basically declaring here is basically all the proxy models you can use. So for example, for Astra Militarum, they're saying that Aldaria Madeline, which I think is a character style psyker, she can basically be used to count as a Primaris psyker. And that feels obviously makes a lot of sense. There's quite a few to go through here. So then you've got, say, Archconfessor Kronov. I don't actually know what model that is, but you can use it as a regimental preacher. Armageddon pattern basilisk, which basically is like it's got like a cabin on the back with the basilisk earthshaker sticking out, can be used as a basilisk, and there's a few more. But as I pause here, I think the key thing to call out here is this actually makes these previously discontinued models still playable on the tabletop. Now what's most important is the footprint of the model, and this is basically saying that Armageddon pattern basilisk can be used as a normal basilisk, so the footprint is really the most important thing here. Next along, so let me just press this again. Okay, right, next was then you've got Def Corps Marshal Kovris Venner. He can be used as a Def Corps Marshal, makes sense. Interestingly, Knight Commander Pask can be used now as a tank commander, which actually, this is nice to see, but all it obviously was the metal miniature in the turret sticking out, but that's still good to see. You can actually proxy it there. And then there's a couple more. Yeah, so Thaddeus the Purifier can be used as a preacher, regimental preacher, fantastic. Likewise, Uria Jacob Bus can be used as a preacher. And if you know who these characters are, tell me, because I have no idea who these are. And then the last one is the Weird Vein Psychers, which basically used to be in the 9th edition book, like I think minimum unit of 3 of the metal miniatures, they can be proxied as Primaris psychers. So this is good. I think it's nice that they've done this. So if you've got some old miniatures, like I've got Primaris psychers, correction, Weird Vein psychers, at least you can proxy them declared by GW for Primaris psycher. So this is nice to see. Right, so let's get on to the meat and bones, however, and this is a monster of a document. It's 66 pages, 33 units. I'll go through the first 11, do a second of a further 11, and one more of 11. Others will just run out of energy, and you'll probably tune out after probably a couple of data sheets. So what I've done is I've printed off the points as well, and also other unit points to compare as we go along. But right, let's get into it. So VALKYRIE Sky Talon. Now what is that? And what I've done is I've gone and checked. So this is still available in the UK. It's this cool looking thing which basically transports vehicles around. So let's see. Now its point cost is 185 points, and a Valkyrie's comparison is 200 points. Okay, so a little bit cheaper, and I believe all of the key statistics remain the same. You've then got heavy bolter, Hellstrike missile, and rocket pod, which is probably no different to what you get in the Valkyrie by itself. But fundamentally, what its coolest thing is okay. Every time a model disembarked that was a transport attacks a unit which this thing attacks, reroll the wound roll. So just like a lot of other transports you see out there, like some of the Aldari ones has the same thing. But what can it transport? Let's have a look. So this can transport 1 Tauros model or 2 Astra Militarum Walker models. Now what Walker models are, we'll probably find out a bit later. But for example, I don't believe a Scout Sentinel or Armored Sentinel is a Walker model. But we'll have a look because there's obviously the Elysian units mentioned here. Okay, so this is super cool to see that this classic miniature can transport 1 Tauros or some Astra Militarum Walkers. So 185 points. I mean, it's a flyer, it's a transport. If you want to play in casual games, I think it would be super cool to drop off a Tauros for the dudes. Right, who's next? Now, the AQUILA Lander. Now, what is this? This is, I've never seen this before. I've never ever seen this ever. It looks really old school. Like you've got the dome for R2-D2 from Star Wars to sit in the back. Now, how much does this thing cost? The AQUILA Land, 120 points. Okay, so if I just check, what can it transport? So it can carry 12 infantry models, and likewise Ograms, and it can't take artillery. So it can transport, basically it's a CHIMERA which flies at 120 points. How much does a CHIMERA cost? CHIMERA cost, what, 80 something points? 85 points, so it's 120 points. It can fly, toughness 9, 12 wounds, 3+ save. This feels like a CHIMERA, but it can fly. Aero deployment, so it can, in hover mode, and strategic reserves, it can be set up in reinforcement step of your first, second, and third, regardless of any mission rules. Okay, starts again. Interesting. Okay, so this plays into some of the fly rules, which I'm not close to, and if you know a bit more than I do, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, you've got a flying CHIMERA basically. Cool. Right, who's next? Okay, the DOMINUS Armoured Siege Bombard. Right, what is this? So I couldn't actually find a definitive answer here, but you've got the Colossus Bombard, as you all know. That might actually be it there, but then it looks like you've got some old kit bash jobs on the interwebs, and I'm guessing this is a very old miniature, because obviously if Google Images isn't giving me a definitive answer, probably it's been from a long time ago. Now the Dominus Armoured 325. Oh, wow, okay, 325. So toughness 13, 20 wounds, 2+ save. So basically it's a Bane Blade equivalent chassis. OC 8, yeah, okay. Interestingly, it's only got 3 attacks. It doesn't have the squadron keyword. Okay, but it's Titanic, which means only Lord Solar can order this thing around. And what are its shooters? So Dominus Triple Bombard. Okay, 2d6 shots, strength 12, AP2 flat 3. Okay, not amazing. Still decent, but not crazy. Let me just check the weapons. Okay, heavy bolters. Okay, right, so that's right. Okay. Now, pinning bombardment, blah, 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 blah. If infantry takes a battle shock test. So 325 points for 2d6, strength 12, AP2, flat 3. Indirect fire though, this is probably going to be a very expensive Basilisk, or maybe a Manticore. But yeah, this must be an ancient kit because I can't find anything on the interwebs with a definitive answer for what this thing looked like. Okay, that's interesting. Certainly interesting. Right, who's next? So the Gorgon Heavy Transport. Now, I know what this looks like. It's actually still for sale in the UK. It's this super cool thing which carries a buttload of infantry models, mostly Def Corps of Krieg. And if we go to the transport capacity, it can carry 30 Astra Militarum infantry. Ograms, and it can't take artillery, but it can take heavy weapon squads. So it has got, you basically take either 2 Gorgon mortars or 4 bolters, flamers, or stubbers. Now, as we look up, so this costs Gorgon 275. Okay, it's expensive. Move 9, 13, 2+, 20 wounds, and a 5+ invul save against ranged attacks. So interesting. So it's the same price as a Rogal Dawn. It's got more wounds, and it's got an invul save, which is good, and you can deliver a whole crap load of infantry models. Now, you can either have 2 Gorgon mortars, which basically is it's just a mortar, D6 hitting on 4s, 5s, 1s, or you can replace it with 4 of heavy bolter, flamer, etc. Now, this, I mean, it's firepower as it's firepower. It's a super strong chassis, OC8, so you could bully some units off objectives. And now what mount up? So end of your opponent's movement phase, if there's no models aboard this transport, 1 Astra Militarum infantry unit, Holy Event 6 can embark. And unless that unit is within engagement range of model, it can embark within this Okay, so you can have some shenanigans in the opponent's movement phase. They can basically jump on board at the end of your opponent's movement phase. Okay, so you can have an infantry squad nearby within 6, into the opponent's movement phase, they jump on board and deny your opponent the ability to shoot that unit. So situationally could be very helpful. I don't know the footprint of this. I'm guessing it's a bit of a monster. I'm guessing it's a massive block of resin, which will be glorious to build. It's got some this is great. I've seen a kit bash job or a project of a guy had all these dudes lined up in the back, like they get about to get out and be sort of charge into combat. But yeah, I mean, 275 for what you're paying. They're basically a Rogue or Dawn. Moves 9. It's going to get quite slow. Is Titanic. No Squadron, which means only Lord Solar can order it around. But I mean, yeah. I mean, you could bully the centre with this many dudes coming out of it, and then you got the shenanigans in and out. Yeah. Okay. Right. What's next is the Def Corps Grenadier Squad. Now we all know what this looks like. We should do now. Discontinued, but basically that's a horrible image. Basically, they're like an elite unit. So now let's have a look. Def Corps. How much do they cost? 110 points for 10 dudes. Now, just forgive me whilst I go to their... Okay, so they take hotshot las guns, close combat weapon, and the sergeant's got a pistol, etc. Now, you can take up to 2. You can take special weapons, which includes heavy stubbers, sniper rifle, grenade launcher, flamer. 110 points for 10 models. Okay, so... Okay, core stats basically 4+ saves, so they're basically a Scion save. Leadership is the same. And all their shooters remain basically consistent, with the hotshot las gun being the key differential versus the normal Def Corps unit, yeah? And also their OC value is only 1. So compared to the normal Def Corps, they're less superior in that aspect because they're not battle line. Right, so primed and ready. Basically, you can use a Grenadier stratagem for free. Which is actually quite good because the Grenadier stratagem, to be fair, is actually very good. I think, what is it, six dice, 4+ gives a mortal wound, so it's pretty powerful actually compared to what it used to be. But 110 points. I mean, it's Voxcaster, their regiment, the platoon, so they can be given orders by all applicable infantry style dudes. And is there any more details? So, okay, if a model from unit with a leader ability can be attached with Def Corps unit. Okay, interesting. So you can attach all the key heroes or characters to this unit. So it's nice they've done that to sort of clarify. And I think it's a bit of a shame they lost this because they're actually quite effective. Hotshot las guns on a battle line infantry unit would have been really good. But yeah, 110 feels, I mean, it's almost double. It's almost double the other guys. 120 for 10. Correction, 60 for the 10 man units. So 110 isn't cheap, but you get 2 Grenadier models from heavy weapons then. Okay, so basically you can have heavy weapon and 2 special weapon dudes, Voxcasters. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel that well costed to me, but it's nice to see again. It's got some love in the new edition. Right, Storm Chimera, or Storm Chimera. Right, so basically what this is, as I understand looking at some old school pictures, is it's an autocannon equipped Chimera. So let's have a look now. The Storm, oh man, there's just so many. Storm Chimera, 90 points. So it costs you 5 more points compared to a normal Chimera. Okay, that feels pretty good so far. Now let's just check weaponry. Okay, so it's got an autocannon, heavy bolter, and armored tracks, and can take. Yeah, okay, so it's a Chimera with an autocannon, which is good. So 2 shots from autocannon, same profile, and just like the Chimera, it's got the mobile command vehicle ability. So that's cool. That's great. It's got squadron, yeah, dedicated transport, etc. So it's exactly a Chimera with an autocannon, which is cool. It's extra 5 points. It feels fair. Right. Now the Centura light carrier. How do I pull that up? Okay. What is that? Now I've seen. Okay. Interesting. So it's a little tiny transport. Obviously taking inspiration from World War II potentially, with some of the German troops in the back. Now Centura, so 40 points. Okay, good start, 40 points. Toughness 7, moves 10, 7 wounds, 3+ save. So that is a Scout Sentinel profile. How many dudes does it carry? What is it got? So it can carry 6 Astra Militarum infantry. Okay, 6 is an odd number, because which Astra Militarum infantry units have got 6? I'm sure there's some, but I can't think that straight to mind. So they've got 2 heavy stubbers, you can take hunter-killer missile, and they've got armored tracks. So that's okay. So you've got this times 2, so essentially you've got rapid fire 6 with 2 of them coming out. Hunter-killer missile, blah blah blah. Now blistering advance. Units can disembark from the transport after it's advanced, but they can't charge. Okay, so it's basically like a little baby Taurox where you can advance and debus, and it carries the statistics of an armored sentinel. So yeah, it's cool. It was 40 points versus an armored scout sentinel. How much is a scout sentinel? I should know all this. Scout sentinel is 50 points. Okay, yeah, this feels really well costed. And if you own this, that's cool, because that's a cool looking little miniature with some dudes in the back. Okay, that's well costed. Okay, the Macarius Omega. What on earth is that? Oh wow! So it is. What on earth is? That's cool. So it's got the is it the Storm Sword with the basically this is taken from a Titan Warhound with the twin Mega Blaster, Plasma Blaster. Now, how much does this thing cost? The Macarius Omega, 310. Okay, 310, so slightly more than a Rogal Dawn. It's a Titanic model. Okay, 9, 13, 28. So again, it sits in between a Rogal Dawn and a Bane Blade, and its weaponry will be, so you've got one Omega Pattern Plasma Blast Gun, and then it's got some sponson weapons, hunter-killer missile, and then it can be having like a stubber. So you've got 2 autocannons or heavy bolters or flamers. Okay, that's cool. Now the Omega Plasma Blast Gun is 60-inch range. It's 2d6 for both profiles, hitting on 4s. It lacks the heavy keyword, which means you can't be hitting on 3s organically. It's strength 8 or strength 9, AP2, AP3, flat 2, flat 3, 2d6, and obviously when you supercharge, it's hazardous. Now, you can basically get this on the Storm Sword. Let me make sure I actually got the Storm Sword right. It's named Storm Blade. I apologise. It's 415 versus whatever this was, 310. So this is a lot cheaper. And its ability, okay, overwhelming short range fighter. Each time this model makes an attack against the closest eligible enemy unit, reroll the hit roll of 1 and reroll the wound roll of 1. Okay. Okay, that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it feels, 310 feels okay. You've got a lot of, you've got a pretty tough shell. I don't know. It's more than on the Rogal Dawn, but, and I don't actually know if any of you own this. Please look at this. This looks amazing. This is glorious. I want to see what the back of it's like. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. It's hard to see, but you've got some like cool crewmen sitting in there. That probably looks like a servitor. Here it is. Oh, wow. Hard to see, but you've got a servitor in the back. Stoking the machine spirit. But yeah, 310 for what essentially is a mega big boy blaster. Isn't bad. But again, Rogal Dawn probably is more efficient because they've got more DACA overall. But this looks fantastic. Well, that's really nice. It's a lovely model, and the points are okay. Okay, the Stygies Destroyer Tank Hunter. Now this is this thing. So I've seen some pics of this around, and it's basically it's like half a Lehman Russ with a massive big boy blaster in the middle. It must have horrible geometry because it's all front heavy, but whatever. It's the 40th millennium where nothing really works. Makes sense. So 180 points. Okay, so it's one of the cheaper Lehman Russ vehicles. Variants, same statistics. 2 plus 13 wounds. 11, I think, is actually inferior maybe. And it has got basically the big boy blast, the Stygies laser destroyer, and that's it. It can take stubber or hunter-killer missile on top for free. So basically all you've got really of all the main shooters is the laser destroyer. It's got heavy keyword, strength 72, range 72, 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, hitting on 3s if you keep still. Strength 14, AP4, D6 plus 3. Okay, and if you target a vehicle, +1 to the wound roll. So yeah, I mean, you're going to be you're always going to be wounding vehicles on a 2 or a 3. Toughness 11 to 3. Yeah. Okay. So if you're targeting vehicles, all but the hardest of vehicle targets, you're always winning on 2, which is good. An AP4 is nothing to be scoffed at in the new edition. It is squadron, which means it can be given orders by tank commanders. So you could actually get this down to a 2+, I think. If I got that wrong, tell me. Yeah. But 180 points. I don't like the model. I think it looks a bit silly, very front heavy, but if you have it, it could definitely, in your casual games, blast your opponent's vehicles, which will be a lot of fun. Nice. Okay. REIN and RAUS are two, what do you call them, rattling characters. Super cool, little pair of hobbits working together, which is a bit of a shame that we discontinued, because I don't know if I'd buy it, but let's have a look at their points. So 50 points for 2. Now how much are their other friends? Rattling snipers are 70 points for 5. Okay, so right, so 25 points, 10 points. So they're vastly more expensive than their normal rattling friends. Of course, they're characters, which means they contribute to assassination. They're just as squishy as their friends. Leadership 8. So funny. Oh, they just disappear. Right, so infiltrate, lone operative, and stealth. No different to their rattling companions, which means they can pre-game deploy, no man's land. They can't be shot more than 12, and then -1 to hit always. If more than 12 away, I think it is, or whatever it is. And okay, so they've got demo charge. That's cool. 6-inch range, D6 plus 3 strength. Demo charge is that hits hard. That's really nice. Okay, sniper rifle, and they've got a stub pistol. So I'm pretty sure one of them's got the sniper rifle, one of them with the stub pistol, and they work together. So the sniper rifle, there's no change to anything else. It's a really good profile these days. Heavy keywords are hitting on 2s and precision. The only person to give these guys orders is Lord Sol Leontis, but they can shoot, sharp, and scarper. No different to the rattling pals, but their key benefit is the rattling twins. So if you have both of them alive, each time model unit makes a ranged attack, you can reroll the hit roll and reroll the wound roll. So that's good, and that is against all ranged attacks, so including your once per game demo charge, your stub pistol, and your sniper rifle. So yeah, cool. I mean, if you own them, they definitely, they probably would hit, maybe math hammer wise, I don't know, they probably, well, they obviously won't hit as hard as the 5 rattlings, but yeah, it's lovely. Again, lovely to see they've actually got a set of rules in here. Okay, Quartermaster CADRE Squad. Now this is basically the Def Corps command squad. Now I think, yes, I saw them on Forge World up until recently. I think this is a nice picture here, but they're now discontinued. You definitely can't get it, which is a bit of a bummer because they look cool as always. Now the Quartermaster CADRE Squadron, how much is that? 45 points. 45 points. Oh, okay. 40. Now let me just make sure I'm not talking malarkey. So are they? They're a leader unit, can be attacked to Def Corps of Krieg and infantry. They've got a Quartermaster Revenants and 4 Medicare Servitors. Okay, I do not know what this is. I've never actually seen this before, because that means my little pictures here are the wrong ones. This must be a really old unit then. And again, if you've got them no more than I do, please shout out in the comments. Here it is. Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. Interesting. Okay, now what do these guys? 45 points. You've got the Quartermaster. It's got 3 wounds, blah, blah, blah. They've got the Servitors. Okay. Toughness 3, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they've got bits and pieces of medical scalpels. Hilarious. Okay. Right, and what do they do? So, when you've got more than 1 Medicare Servitor, you get a 5-up feel no pain in this unit. Okay. Models in this unit get a 5+ feel no pain, and Mindlock contains the medical scalpels, improve weapon skill by 1. Okay, right. So my 45 point excitement is pointless because this is crap. So you basically get a 5+ feel no pain, and I think with a Def Corps Marshal, which you can still use, you get the same thing anyway. But yeah, that's cool. Again, so nice to see that they're I've never seen this unit before, but really nice to see they've got this for 45 points as an option. All right, next along is the Atlas Recovery Vehicle. Now I definitely know what this looks like. So it is basically, yeah, I mean, it's the idea, which is fantastic, is it recovers damaged vehicles and drags the corpse back for the tech priest engine series to bring back to life the machine spirit to fight another day. Now, how much does this thing cost? It costs you 80 points, so the same price as a Chimera. And what has it got for shooters? It's got heavy bolter, and it's got the hunter killer missile, and blah blah blah. So obviously the intent of this model is not for its damage output, it's more for so you can one friendly unit within Astra Militarum vehicle within 3 recover D3 lost wounds. Okay, so yeah, I mean 80 points for this, it's not really worth for D3 wounds to be recovered, but again, if you've got it, that's amazing. Again, nice to see they're giving it a bit of love and keeping it alive. So the Sabre's weapon battery, what is that? Now, Google Images gives me some very mixed images. So you've got, this must be really old. So again, if you know when these were last used, what edition, please shout out, but that's cool. So you've got, looks like stubbers, heavy bolters, auto cannons, las cannons, blah, 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 and a searchlight. Okay. Now, how much does this thing cost? Sabre. One model, 45 points. 2 models, 90 points. Right, so we'll just go down to, okay, so it's either got, yeah, twin heavy bolters, defense searchlights, auto cannon, heavy stubber, or las cannon. And as I said, you take, it's either 1 or 2, 45 and 90 points for 1 or 2. Right, they're a fortification, so they don't move. Interesting, in this case, they've got an OC value of 1 versus, I think, the Tarantula gun batteries, which you can take legally in the edition, have an OC value of 0, I'm pretty sure. So that's interesting, they've got an OC value of 1. Toughness 4, blah, 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 4 plus, 4 wounds. Yep, so all the weapons are twin linked because you've got, obviously, pairs of them. And then, now, right, so then Sentinel directives. Each time this unit fires the Overwatch strategy, you're hitting on 5s, and I believe that's the same as the Tarantula, I think. And then the defense searchlight. So the start of your shooting phase, you can select one enemy within 24 invisible to the bearer. Until the end of the phase, that unit cannot have the benefit of cover. Okay, yeah, cool. You're probably never going to use that because then you need to place it like in a fire lane where your opponent's probably going to go into cover. So tactically, this is probably never going to get used, but really cool. At 45 points, and what else is there? So, well, an enemy unit is within engagement range of 1 or more fortification units from your army. Okay, so this is the same as the Aegis defense line. So I don't know it too well, but basically it gives more detail on how to manage this from a movement, charge, consolidate, pile in point of view for your opponent. Yeah, but 45 points. It's cute. You'd never take the searchlight because you're never going to use it, but it's cool. Again, I'm saying cool a lot here because I do think this is super cool. Right, the Elysian drop Sentinel. So we should all know what that looks like. I didn't until I look at. Okay, now this is an Elysian drop Sentinel. Wow. So it looks like a more armored Sentinel. Same legs. This is so cool. I've never. This is well before I got into 8th edition. Okay, so how much do these cost? 85 points. Okay, so it's the same price as. It's more expensive than an armored Sentinel at 70 points. Now, what do you get for your money or your points? Okay, so moves 10, toughness 6, 6 wounds, 3 plus save. Now, it's not an armored Sentinel because I've got a 2 plus save. Now, weaponry, heavy bolter or flamer or multi-melter. The multi-melter, I believe, is unique because you can't take that on Sentinels. And it's got a hunter-killer missile. So, okay. So you can take a multi-melter. I think you're paying for that. That's probably why it's a bit more. It doesn't have a chainsaw. But it can deep strike. Okay, so it can deep strike. That's what you're paying more for. And meteoritic descent. When the model is set up on the battlefield using the deep strike ability, it can perform a meteoritic descent. Okay, This model can be set up anywhere in the battlefield that's more than 3 inches horizontally away from an enemy unit, but until... Okay, so you can land within 3. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so that's cool. So you're paying for deep strike, you're paying for multi-mortar, and you're paying for the fact you can deep strike within 3 inches of your opponent, but you can't do a charge. So that's great. You could definitely clog things up. But yeah, so... Yeah, I'm going to pause here because that's the first 11. I'll then do a series, episode 2, episode 3 of the other ones. I'm brushing through this quite quickly because obviously there's a lot to go through here, but fundamentally, I think it's really nice they've done this because when we get into sections 2 and 3, there are so many units that I actually didn't know existed. I mean, a lot of them are obvious when you look at them, but the Manticore platform, Hydra platform, okay, Griffin mortar carrier, again, super old school models. The MACHARIUS riders, never heard of them, but I think fundamentally, yeah, for the casual scene, you know, we are less focused on the hyper competitive aspect of points efficiency. It's really nice to see you can play your legend units. But yeah, so if any of you've played these models, have these models, please shout in the comments. Love to hear from you. And yeah, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for episode 2 and 3 of this marathon of all the legend units for Astra Militarum. But yeah, but if you want to support me, you can just have a like, comment, or by subscribing, joining my Patreon platoon, or simply watching any of my other YouTube videos, to which I cover hobby, including painting, kit bashing, and assembling, the tabletop tactics, and also the lore of 40k for Astra Militarum. And massive thanks to my current supporters. To get your bayonet sharp, lasgun oiled, faith for the Emperor strong, Patreon platoon, sound off. Tank Commander Glenn, Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten, Tank Commander Mitchell, Colour Sergeant DuPont, Sergeants Adal, the Colonel Merrill, Veteran Gibson, Hall, Lundeen, Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Flint, Hills, Malik, Nitton, Nguyen, Smith, Tom, Tompkin, Conscript England, Gilliam, Goodwin.